Open up our first public comment. Please state your name and your address. At this time, the agenda item is intended to give Gilford citizens a voice and the school district an opportunity to hear directly from the citizens. The time is not intended for Q&A. Questions about programs and practices may be directed to your respective administrators during the school day. If you would like to come up, please state your name and your address.
Excuse me, then I shall. My name is Skip Murphy, 9 Gilford Glen Road, Gilford. And for each of the Gilford School Board members, thank you. What I have just passed out is a right to know, RSA 91A, demanding of the school board, the governing body here, to find out how much of taxpayer monies has been expended on my lawsuit against the Gilford School Board over Policy JBAB. The two contention points are let me start off with this instead. Individuals have rights, governments have powers. Governments should also be transparent. Let me start off with a little story that just circulated a couple months ago. Clay County, Florida. It was a 12-year-old girl that was being bullied. The principal sent her to a guidance counselor. The little girl said, "Look at all of this stuff in here. Do you really accept transgender students?" And the guidance counselor, Ms. Washington, said yes. 2 months later, because that little girl thought she was something that she was not, tried to commit suicide in the girls' bathroom. The district didn't tell the parents. They have a policy very similar to the Gilford School Board's Policy JBAB, in which staff are told to lie to parents. In this case, they wouldn't inform them at all. The following day, the little girl tried to do it again. The district finally said, "We have to call the parents." They apologized to the parents, and it came out, and this is a well-known national story now, that the district did not trust the parents to not abuse or disavow their child because of their strong Catholic faith that said there are only male and female. That district is now getting the worst of it. They allowed a child to try to commit suicide twice. The Gilford School Board Policy JBAB has two things that I brought to court. One was, where is the power in this Dillon's Rule state? And for the high school students behind me, there are two types of states if you have not been taught this thus far. There is a home rule state in which anything that a subdivision of the state, like a town or a school board, can make up anything that it wants for policies or ordinances as long as they don't violate state or federal law. New Hampshire is not a home rule state, even as much as we say we have local control. We do not. A Dillon's Rule state says that a subdivision of the state can only have the power to do such things that a state legislature gives them the power to do. You even have a policy here at Gilford School in that you set out where your powers come from, and you say two places. From the state statutes that the state legislature of New Hampshire have passed, specifically giving you powers to do things, and the educational rules from the Department of Ed, who in turn has received its power from the state legislature. My contention over this last year and a half to almost 2 years is that within Policy JBAB, this school board does not have the power to coerce the speech of others. A transgender student, as it started off with, has the right to be called by their preferred pronouns, and not to do so is a violation of this principle. Now it was later changed because of my protestations, is that a transgender student should be called by their preferred pronouns, but Superintendent Kirk Beitler said that's a mandatory use of the word should. So effectively it's the same thing. I filed suit in Superior Court, and unfortunately, because of the way that the legal system works, I was denied standing because I could not prove harm to my legal son who's now in kindergarten. And the suit was just thrown out of court. So I want to know how much the Gilford School Board has spent frivolously because it wouldn't answer the two questions that I asked over and over again. Where does the school board gain the power to coerce the speech of others and deliberately obviate, throw away, and not care about the freedom of speech, a traditional American value and right? Where does it also get the power, from what state RSA, to deliberately lie to parents about the transgender status of their student? What I have in my hand, like I did months ago, is another lawsuit because of the intransigence of this school board to answer two simple questions. Where is the RSA that gives you the power to do those two things? I will tell you, I protest vehemently about losing my free speech rights because of my faith and my degree in biology that says you are either male or female. But I would be punished by you folks to do so. And Kurt Beitler said that would happen. I am more incensed the more I go through this process that you have given yourselves the power to lie to parents like me. So if my son in kindergarten ended up like that 12-year-old girl, I would never know. And her parents found out in time. There's a high possibility that I would never know. And you would be responsible. But then you walk away. I would be the one that would have to confront and work over the fallout from that. So I'm going to ask a question, the same question I did before. But I'm going to give you an escape clause. The amended lawsuit has already been filed. That went in today. I will pull back the lawsuit and stop the hemorrhaging of taxpayer money if you do two simple things. Answer the questions. What RSA gives you the right to obviate the First Amendment and Article 22 of the New Hampshire Constitution? What RSA gives you the right to lie to parents, which would put me and other parents at risk of what that little 12-year-old girl's parents are now dealing with? I am incensed that this board and other boards around the nation will do that to these parents. Is there any of you courageous enough to say, having dealt with the lawsuit over these last few months, to be able to tell me we don't have such a power? Nothing. All right, Danielle Bolduck, I have a question for you. Is my son transgender or not? I'm putting you to the test, and your school board, your employer, has put you into this situation.
This is not a question and answer time.
And that's a dodge. But I can also say that
I'm also following this rule here.
That's what I thought you would say. And I appreciate the honesty that your employer has put you in the situation to lie to me. I'm putting you to the test, and your school board, your employer, has put you into this situation.
This is not a question and answer time.
And that's a dodge. But I can also say that
I'm also following this rule here.
That's what I thought you would say. And I appreciate the honesty that your employer has put you in the situation to lie to me. Policy JBAB turns the relationship between a child and their parents upside down, where the child is now in charge of the family. That can only sow chaos within the family structure. It also means that I can't trust Principal Bolduc. I can't trust his teachers, because I'll never know if they're lying to me or not. So I'll try one more time. And I know that the New Hampshire School Board Associations, and I'll use the word groomed you folks, not to use this period as a time to truthfully answer questions like this. So I'm putting the 5 of you on point. Are you going to answer or not? Or do I tell my lawyer that you get to spend more of the taxpayers' money here in Gilford because of the non-answers of 2 specific questions? I see you all looking down at the desk trying to avoid them.
Mr. Murphy, I'll say one thing. Personally, for myself, I do not speak as a whole for this board. I think my comments have been on the record for the better part of 2+ years. I happen to agree with you. I think that this board at some point should go over this JBAB policy, perhaps maybe at next month's meeting, and have a open, robust discussion about it. I've spoken ad nauseum my position on this. So we don't want to continue to have a lawsuit to pay for. We would hope that you would give us some time to, at least as a board, this is a new board, okay? And just give us that opportunity to be able to appropriately discuss this as a board. I can't speak for anybody else. That is my opinion, and we will see if that transpires. But I would just ask that I don't see the need for a lawsuit at this point. It's just my opinion.
Thank you for some honesty. I will tell you I've been fighting this for almost 2 years on those same points. How much longer should I continue this farce of politely asking, where does your power come from? And while some of the people behind me may think this is frivolous, this is basic civics. This is important, because if you cannot trust the institutions that you elect to serve you, why trust anything? I'm not sure that I want to wait longer. I certainly am paying my lawyer, and I will tell you, I will sell my house and bankrupt myself if I have to, in order to be able to get the answer, because I'm livid. I would like to see one of you have the courage stand up and say, while this is going through, make the policy JBAB a non-issue and pull it off the approved list for now. If you were to do that right now, I would tell my lawyer to halt the lawsuit for now, and then when I hear from you, then make the decision to either go forward or not. But I'm at least willing to do that if the board thinks that there's a compromise. Because I hate doing this. I want to be able to trust Principal Bolduc. I want to be able to trust my son's teachers. I want to be able to trust you folks as well. But right now, you've given me no hope in doing that. So there's 5 business days to hear back on my right to know from the general ledger line level, how much has been spent on my lawsuit thus far. And I would like a report back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Croc TV.